Once upon a time, in the dinosaur times, there was these magical ponies and they lived in a town. Here is the leader and the person who basically rules over the place. They live on the clock. And then there's the family of Pinkie Pies. They're just making this line going home. And as you can see up here, these rarities are admiring this flower. And they made a circle around it, you know? And the Applejacks are moving into a new house and they're carrying their cactus. See? And then there's the only Pegasi, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy, who guard this huge cave who has inside a wolf. Speaking of the wolf, this town hated the wolf because the wolf lived in a cave that they have. And the wolf every night goes and attacks every pony. So then, one day they started to have wars with them at night, and it was announced on this present day. Hello! Everyone line up in front of the clock. If they disobey her, they're gonna be in big trouble. So they drop their furniture, they forget about the stuff that they like, and they forget about going home, and they line up in front of her. They stand, and then the biggest family in town, Rarities, they leave everything. Even the guards have to come and they go right at the back. I've decided that I am sick of all these wolf attacks. So I'm deciding to put a stop to it. I'm going to start an army using all of you to go and fight the wolf. And then they are all very sad with that idea, but they all agree. So then she says, you will go and create an army formation and a plan to go and defeat this wolf. Everyone agree, and then he say, dismissed, if that's the correct thing that you say in these announcements. And then they all tumble around in this circle and they go and practice their plans. Now, let's not see them practice, blah, blah, blah. Let's skip to when it's night. Okay, now it is night and everyone is ready. So, they're coming up with their army formation. They go like this. They go like this. They go like this. And they go like this. They create their army plan, which looks like this. And I'm putting this Applejack at the back because it's an odd number and he doesn't have a tail. Alrighty, get up. So then there's the Pinkie Pies. And then last but not least, Applejack. And then the second the wolf comes out, we're going to launch the army at him. The wolf is ready. Coming out of his cave. And he wonders what they're doing here. Huge army right in front of his home. He doesn't care anyway, because he thinks this is just a whole bundle of them surrendering to be his lunch. He goes to the weakest boy. and he jumps, and then he attacks. Ah! But this was all part of the plan. Then this guy quickly slaps both of them, and they go flying in the air, watching every second. And then, meanwhile, down here, they're all fighting. And then, when they all pretend to be recovering from all the pain. So then the wolf, in his language, he says, "Ha, ha, ha, you guys are all so weak." And then soon later, like those annoying mosquitoes, they come and start hitting the wolf. The wolf collapses. And everybody in the town looks at the wolf, paralyzed, thinking that the wolf was dead, defeated, or seriously injured, or they thought that it was fainted. They all got up and just had nothing to do but stare. Even the two people who defeated him were confused. "I didn't think it was that easy," she said. They were all surprised. And then suddenly, he gets up and he kicks the people in the front. And then they notice. And then a bunch of them tries to go and block the exit. But it was no use. He went inside the cave and closed it. Everyone was happy though. They did not defeat the wolf. Yeah, maybe they did not. And they failed to do it. But they were happy because from this was the first time they did it, and they actually almost got to defeat the wolf. They all went together in those things that you always see in the cartoons, you know. They go like this, and they're not hugging, because mostly these guys fight over the star. They all go in a bundle, and they start to carry the two heroes who made their victory almost be in sight. They were confused about why they're being praised, but they enjoyed it. And they started going around the town until they accidentally went to the clock. And then she said, "Why are you celebrating?" And then one of the guys said, "We're celebrating because this is our first time and we nearly did it." And then he said, "You nearly did it. You did not completely do it. So I do not allow you to celebrate for this." Everyone groaned, and then he said, "Go home." So everyone went away, dropping the heroes, and they groaned and go back home. They decide that they need to go back home too. They are about to go home, but then he said, "You two, don't think that you're the hero, so I'll give you a break. You need to watch on the wolf cave the whole night, or else it might escape." They go all the way back and got the cave. Now, let's spectate the next day. So the next day, everyone came out to play. Well, the rarities were back on, admiring that flower that they saw earlier yesterday, and they started fighting over it. The Applejacks were now coming to collect the cactus. And the Pinkie Pies were just taking a morning stroll, walking like ducks in a line, all of the family. They were still guarding the whole night. Then he said, "Now I gave you enough time to be frolicking outside. Now is the time for you to get your new army plan." By now, even though they just fought for one night, they were still so sick of fighting. So they decided to seriously make a good plan so that they can actually win the fight and so that everything will be done. So they went all into a circle and started blabbing out their awesome idea. Then this idea seemed more upgraded than the last one, except then Tailless Jack, I guess that's his name now, spoke up and he said, "But if we do all this, what if it repeats from last night? The wolf escapes and gets back into his cave." Then one Rarity speaks up and he says a new idea that will definitely work. Everyone agrees and then they start to go and practice. They zoom off like a bunch of cheetahs. And then he's like, "They went off like a bunch of cheetahs, and I don't like that fact. What if they're planning to cheat? You get my joke? Cheetahs cheating? Hey? 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 So then they start to do their plan. Until night. Everyone is running in excitement, ready for this war with the wolf. He wakes up and he says, "Almost wartime, guys. Get ready." They come up with this pretty much the same thing, except these two guys sit beside each other. The Rarities go like this. They're surprisingly split into two. Yeah, they were split and split and split. And then the boss was wondering why they were being split in a straight line like that. Because they'd obviously lose because of it. But she left it. Then after that, somebody whistled so that there'd be no confusion. Pinkie Pie, the oldest, moved more to one side. And then Tailless Jack moved more to this side. And then they waited tick-tock for the wolf to come out. While that they were talking, and they said something about she is the more attack type. So they swapped places. Oh, I wonder what that could mean. Wolf comes out thinking that it's a bundle breakfast again, except he knows that it's some sort of army, but he knows that he'll be able to get one of them at least, because he memorized all their attacks. And then when the wolves took one more step, everyone moved. They all tipped to two sides. This side ran away, making it look like they were surrendering. And he said, "Stop, why are you surrendering?" The wolf grinned because he had he knew that they had less defenses and attacks. But then when he jumped, they moved. They were planning on dodging the whole time until they recorded the time on when the wolf would go into the cave from the last time. They created a whole wall. This wall was a smart idea because by the time the wolf has to get back in, they'll see an army waiting at his door. Nice way to put the sentence, right? So they waited, and then when it was only seconds left actually, the other group joined. They went all in. This guy got replaced with this guy. This guy stood up. This guy moved here, get up. Oh, these guys are so domino-like. And then these two go in the front as the heroes. The wolf comes and stands in confusion, like, what are you doing at my cave? It's time for me to go to bed. Then everyone took out their weapons and they quickly moved. They kept in front of him and he kept his eyes glued onto them while everyone else moved. They were planning on putting a full attack on him. And then, when he went to look for the others, gone! Poof! He was angry. And then, he was going to attack, but then quickly they became smaller. Smaller and smaller. And more people came. It was as though they were multiplying. There were looking like a lot more of them now. They kept going in and in and in and in and in and in. And then they all started slapping him. Ah! And then they started hitting and hitting and hitting. He was impressed. But he still wanted to look like they were no use. Because he really wanted to use a weapon of his. They started chasing the wolf until the wolf ran away. Ah! He went into the water and swam. Well, that everyone else was happy. And you know the people who came up with the last bit? That these two guys. So they were now permanently heroes. And then when everyone was cheering, she suddenly came and she said, "Bad job, guys. You did not defeat him." And then the blue one spoke up and she said that at least he's gone. You said that you either want him killed or gone. We did one of those, so you should be fine with it. And then she said, "I changed my mind. I thought about it and I think that they're gonna come back. Not if you force us to keep guarding every night." Everyone agreed and she was outnumbered by 1,000 people. So she went. But she was planning an attack on them. Everyone was living their normal life now until stomp, stomp, stomp they heard. And then they heard some more footsteps. And they were really, really loud too. They were like this. And then they heard heard tiny footsteps. Everyone did not notice it because they thought it's just ponies. Then they come. Brachiosaurus / Apatosaurus. Really tall. The tallest dinosaur. Dragon. Millipede dragon, since, this part, just take out the wings, it looks like a millipede. And then comes next, what is this called again? Vacuoliosaurus. Herbivore, carnivore, herbivore. And then my favorite, and in my favorite color, Stegosaurus, herbivore. With these plates that can break your teeth if you bite it. And then who comes on behind them and moves in front of them is the ruler. Let's just name her ruler. Everyone was wondering what they were doing. And she said, I'm going to use all my attacks on you. But then they all looked at each other, ran into the wolf's cave, closed it. What? And that was because the wolf saw that there was less people after that and that he could easily get some food. He runs out and he says, dinner time. All the other animals escape. The dragon flies. The Apatosaurus runs along with the other dinosaurs. And both of them are left.